I'll say it. There's few things more annoying than coming home to garden a little bit and it being just so windy that it about blows you over. So this afternoon's project is going to be a quick one, and it's going to be in a very sheltered area so that I don't annoy y'all with all like the wind and the blowing around and stuff. Plus, the plant that we're going to be working with does not respond well to strong winds. It really resents it, and it will start to look really bad really quickly if you put it in a place that's going to get beat up by wind. So this area of Texas that we live in, north central Texas, I'm like an hour north of Waco, it's very windy in the spring, and we are in a very rural, flat location. So if the wind's coming, there is nothing to disrupt it. It's just going to beat up my garden. But as you can see, we're sheltering behind my favorite climbing rose of all time, which is a garden sun, and it's almost peak. But I do want to go ahead and show you what it looks like right now because it just looks so good. Who doesn't love a yellow rose? Show them to me. Isn't she glorious? Look at her. We'll be top to bottom with yellow flowers on this thing. So they're a darker, almost like tangerine color when they're not quite open yet. And then they'll age to this lighter, buttery yellow. It's just stunning, and it smells incredible also. I can give y'all a tour of my roses that I have at some point. I don't have a ton because I find them to be slightly high maintenance, and I'm fine with that in limited quantities. I love roses, but there are only a particular select few that I have experience with that really will bloom all summer, even when it's 110, 111, 112 degrees outside. And this is one of them. This will bloom pretty much constantly all summer, as long as it's getting enough water. This is the plant that we're going to be working with today. This is a Hosta. And I picked up this absolutely massive Hosta. Here's my hand. Here's the leaves. From Callaway's a couple days ago. They had such a good looking group of hostas. I just had to get one. I could not stop myself. And this variety is called a Wind Beneath My Wings Hosta. And it is one of the bigger varieties out there. As you will observe on this tag, I'll hold that there so that y'all can see it. It gets 7 feet wide. You are reading that correctly. 7 feet wide at its peak. So this is obviously a very well-established, healthy plant. I don't mind paying good money for plants that look like this. Roots coming out the bottom. It wants to get out of here so bad. It's probably lived in here for quite a while. These leaves have that beautiful ruffle to them, that blue color. It's gonna go here in between these two oak leaf hydrangeas. There is a hydrangea macrophylla, a zebra hydrangea. Whoops. There is a zebra hydrangea right there. It's looking pretty rough. I'm not really sure what's going on with it, but either way, I'd like to tuck it in between this hydrangea and this oak leaf hydrangea. That will put it about a little over a 7-foot spread on center. And if it kind of goes over and shades the roots of this oak leaf hydrangea and of the zebra I'm completely fine with that. It only gets like 30 inches tall. So it's gonna be much wider than it is tall, and it will just kind of cover this area as it goes along and spreads out. And hopefully will just be like a nice, soft, cooling blue color in this area. I'm so excited about this hosta. Other thing about hostas in Texas, this area of my garden stays very sheltered and also stays really consistently moist. I have drip irrigation in this flower bed, but because it doesn't get any wind, firstly, and because it doesn't get much direct afternoon sunlight, it gets no direct afternoon sunlight, it stays very consistently moist, but it drains well. That's the thing with hostas. You don't want them to be sitting in a really swampy environment. They don't appreciate that whatsoever. I've seen hostas in the full blazing afternoon sun, like up in the Pacific Northwest on the Olympic Peninsula, and they look great. But guess what? My full sun situation is not their full sun situation. Very different types of sunlight. The sun's much closer to us here, and it will fry this hosta. So I'm putting it in a very protected place. Let me show you guys what it looks like when I take it out of its container. Struggle. I really don't want to hurt these leaves, so I'm trying not to lay it on the ground a whole lot. I'm trying to keep it off the ground. Okay, there we go. Oh, this little stake thing. I really like this company, these Blue Label plants. They always have such big, healthy plants. They put this nice, big, sturdy label. This label ain't going nowhere in the pot, but it was kind of like the roots were grabbing onto it a little bit. Here's the condition of the root ball. This plant just, it wants to be free. We shall free you, not to worry. Let me give it a jab with the shovel. I think there's probably some different schools of thought on busting up roots when it comes out of the pot. I'm sure you'll have some people out there say that you don't need to mess with it, but I always do. I rarely ever take a plant out of its pot without fluffing the roots just a little bit. If you haven't heard of a thing called root memory, it's referring to the pattern in which these roots have been growing in this pot, and they could potentially have the tendency to keep growing in that fashion, which obviously, as I'm pulling these roots apart, you can see that they're going in a circle like this. They're trying to find their way out, trying to find soil, trying to find a way to expand in order to feed the ever-growing amount of foliage that they're supporting. And so it could potentially continue to occur in the ground, which we don't want, because it would girdle itself and cut off that nutrient flow that the roots are supposed to provide. Luckily, this bed is not as full of rock as a lot of other areas in my garden. I could dig without too much stress in this spot. We're going to be able to plant this plant without the use of a rock bar, which is a nice change to how I usually plant, which is with the assistance of a rock bar or a rock pick. That's a feature of our ecoregion here in this part of Texas, is limestone formations under the soil. And once you've gardened on top of a limestone bed, you don't take planting jobs like this for granted very often. Look at that. Beautiful soil. Just encountered like 6 or 7 worms in here. We're looking good. Pop him in there. We'll get the crown more even with the soil level. I don't want to bury the crown of this plant, or really any plant, because water is not meant to settle on the crown of a plant. It's meant to drain away. That's a little bit better. That's what we want to see. Does that look nice? Oh, I love it so much. I love that color. It's so pretty. We're going to add our soil back in here, and I'm going to give it some plant tone, some organic plant tone to give it a little feed. I'm not going to, usually when I plant a plant, I'd put it in its hole, and then I would fill that hole up with water several times. We're not quite at the time of the year when that is necessary for everything. And the soil around these, look at that. The soil around these plants is very wet. And this root ball is really wet because I've been keeping it well watered. So we're going to leave it as is and just feed it and backfill with this soil that just came out of the hole. There's the rest of my soil. And he should be very happy. Very happy. This is a slow release organic fertilizer. It has no potential to burn the roots of this hosta. Which you gotta watch out for using some kind of fertilizers. If they make direct contact with the roots, it can be devastating for your plant because it will burn them. We're gonna pack our soil in there. Good. And then cover it back up with all that nice mulch. What do you think, okie dokie? Here's my boy. That's that. We can check that off. That's been sheltering in my potting shed for the last couple of days. I have not been able to put it outside because it's been so windy. I was worried it would destroy the leaves, and you know, it was kind of pricey. So I wanted to continue looking nice until I could show y'all planting it. I can't get over these leaves. I think they're so cool. I must show y'all one more rose, even though it's windy. I'm sorry. There's the gray kitty. Yeah. Look at the camera's not doing it justice. The purple of these blooms. I've had this rose for a couple years now. I wish I could tell y'all what it is, but it is such a hard-working rose. Even when it is so unbelievably just devastatingly hot, it just does this all summer. I absolutely love it. I wish I could. If y'all know, if you rose people know, please tell me what this purple pink rose is. The scent is incredible. The bloom structure is incredible. And it's just a powerhouse even when it's hot. Anyway, I'm going to get the hosta on the drip and go check on all the other things because it's so windy outside. We are due for some rain this weekend, some very much needed rain. So that hosta should love that. Y'all, if y'all have plans to plant, do it before a rainstorm because they love that crap. Anyway, I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.